Today, we're going to peek behind the curtain at the invisible engines that run our world. We're talking about enterprise technology. We're going to break down the mindset of the absolute pros, the people who solve problems where one tiny mistake could cost millions. Let's dive in.
So picture this. It's your first day on the job. The pressure is immense. You're not just fiddling with some code. You're responsible for this massive, interconnected machine. This is the world that experts in systems like SAP live in every single day. Where do you even start?
So what is this machine we're talking about? Well, for a ton of the world's biggest brands, it's SAP. And the best way to think of it is as the company's central nervous system. It's not just one app. It's this sprawling ecosystem that manages sales, inventory, finance, the whole shebang. When it works, you don't even know it's there. But when it breaks, everything stops.
Okay, so how does an expert even approach a system this complex? Well, it all starts with a fundamental choice. And this one question is what really separates the novices from the masters. Do you build something totally new from scratch? Or do you find a way to bend the existing system to your will?
You know, it usually kicks off with a request that sounds almost ridiculously simple. The client just wants to change a single word on a screen. Material becomes SKU. Seems trivial, doesn't it? But an expert sees this for what it is, not just a task, but a test of their entire problem-solving philosophy.
And here are the two paths you can take. The junior person immediately grabs the sledgehammer, oh, just get a developer to change the code. It's direct, sure. But the expert, they see the surgical tool, they're instantly thinking about risk. They know that touching the core code can cause all sorts of unexpected problems down the line. So they use a standard tool, one designed for this exact purpose, to make the change without altering the system's DNA. And this isn't just a gut feeling, It's a structured mental model. Experts follow this really clear hierarchy. They always start at the top with standard configuration, no code needed. Then they work their way down, maybe through personalization or approved modification hooks. It's only after they've tried everything else that they'd even consider injecting new code. For them, coding is the absolute last resort, not the first instinct.
And this right here explains why they think that way. The expert is always thinking about the total cost of ownership. That simple little code change has to be tested, documented, and retested every single time the system gets an upgrade, maybe for years to come. That 5-minute quick fix can easily become a decade of technical debt. They solve today's problem while protecting the future.
Okay, so that's planning. But what happens when you're forced to react? When the engine is running full speed and something goes horribly wrong? This, my friends, is where experts truly earn their pay.
You get that call. A user is panicking. It's broken. Sales are being blocked. The business is losing money by the minute, and they're pointing the finger right at you saying your system is broken. The heat is on. What's your first move?
Well, the expert's first move isn't technical at all. It's diplomatic. They would never say you messed up or you entered the wrong data. Instead, they use the system's own diagnostic tools to walk the user through the logic, step by step. They show them the proof, right there in the system log. By framing it as a simple data maintenance issue, they solve the problem, teach the user something new, and most importantly, they keep the relationship intact. It's a masterclass in psychology.
All right, now for a little fun. Interviewers love to test this kind of thinking with trick questions. Here's a classic. A delivery has been processed. It's been invoiced. The user wants to delete it. What's the command? What do you type?
And the answer is, it's a trick. There is no command. An expert knows you can't just delete a step in a financial process. That's like ripping a page out of an accountant's ledger. You have to respect the process. You have to rewind the tape, reversing each step in the exact opposite order it happened. Cancel the bill, then reverse the shipment, and only then can you delete the delivery.
Let's do another one. This one gets a lot more technical. In a delivery, you've got the quantity the customer ordered, right? And then you have the quantity the warehouse actually picked off the shelf. Where in the database is that pick quantity stored?
Now this is a test of pure precision. The trap is to name the most common field, LFMIG, but the expert knows the exact field is PIKMG. And this isn't just trivia. When you're debugging a critical issue or building a major report, using the wrong field can send you down a rabbit hole for days. This one tiny detail is often the difference between a 1-hour fix and a 1-week disaster.
So we've seen how experts plan and how they handle a crisis. Now let's go to the final boss level, navigating a complete system overhaul. This is genuinely one of the most complex and dangerous projects any company can take on. And this analogy is just perfect. A migration to a new system like S/4HANA isn't just an upgrade. It is a complete heart transplant for the company's digital operations, all while the business keeps running 24/7. The risk is just astronomical.
And just look at what's changing under the hood. I mean, this table barely scratches the surface. Core data structures that have been around for decades are being totally ripped out and replaced. Take status data, for instance. It used to live in its own separate tables. Now, it's been moved right into the main transaction tables. An expert has to be a master of both the old world and the new world, all at the same time.
So, what's the number one thing that causes these massive projects to fail? It's the custom code. Remember those quick fixes we talked about at the beginning? Yeah, they've just become landmines. All that custom code that was built to look at the old tables is just going to crash and burn in the new system.
Here's a real-world crisis. In the old system, it was fine to have a customer number 1000 and a vendor number 1000. But the new system merges them into a single business partner, where every ID has to be unique. Boom, you can't migrate. So what does the expert do? They analyze the scope. Turns out there are only 50 conflicts. They form a strategy, let's prioritize the customer numbers, and then they take action, renumber those 50 vendors before the migration even starts. That's proactive, strategic problem solving.
And all of this brings us to the final and honestly the most important part. The technical skills are critical, of course, but true expertise is a mindset. It's about how you think, how you communicate. It goes way beyond just the code.
Just listen to the difference in how an expert talks about their work. A novice says, "We implemented the project." It's vague. An expert uses what's called the T formation. They start with "we" to give the team context, but then they pivot to "I" to claim specific, confident ownership of what they did. They communicate their exact value.
And this is the ultimate test. The biggest red flag for someone faking their experience is a lack of integration knowledge. A junior person has tunnel vision. They know their one little piece perfectly. But an expert? They understand that sales doesn't exist in a vacuum. They know that when a sales order is created, it has a ripple effect on finance, on inventory, on manufacturing. They see the entire nervous system, not just one single nerve.
Because in the end, expertise isn't about memorizing table names. It's about understanding consequences, seeing the connections between everything, and managing the human side of technology. It's about knowing all the right questions to ask before you ever write a single line of code. So the real question is for you, in your own work, what's the next right question you should be asking?